Hey guys, so this is my video for the Design for Change project for Education 352, and my design of change was to see how bullying affects children in a classroom. I wanted to look at atypical children and children with disabilities. A little background about myself is I work with children with autism and applied behavioral analysis, meaning I have programs that are specific for these students that have deficits, and we break them down into small steps in order for them to learn that's efficient for them. So this is also really personal to me because I have a family member with a disability. So I started doing my research, and when I started researching bullying, I was really shocked on how bullying is much more complex than I thought. I looked into different studies and interventions the schools or government was applying for anti-bullying procedures. What I found out, though, children are also not just from the bully themselves, but other factors surrounding the bully. There needs to be considerations of the relationships that the staff have and how connected they feel to the school they work at. What they found was that the more connected the staff member felt towards the school, the more likely they would intervene. This was by Brennan et al. 2014. I never thought of teachers stepping in to break up bullying when I was in elementary school. I got teased for speaking Portuguese. I never had a teacher step in to stop it. It really makes me wonder how much the teachers cared for my school and why they did not intervene. I think it's a great idea for teachers to step in, as they can see all the dynamics of the classroom and you can get their perspectives from that. But when it's happening, they can break it up as they have their opinion. Then it's just the bully and the victim, so it's more various. Moreover, I also found that the more government support of programs like anti-bullying day and other support systems are promoted in the school, the more likely they will step in to help. And that was by Holt, Rozdilsky, Frey, Hemlin, and Limber, 2013. And I agree with this, that more people who know about the different support systems they can receive from bullying, and the more knowledge they can be about bullying. However, not all these programs are publicly promoted, nor is help given to those who are victim of bullying. And that was by Lonzon Blanco et al. 2016. Side effects of depression and stress from continuous bullying was with no support groups. Not having help readily available for victims of bullying can also increase suicide tendencies. This was by also Lorenzo Blanco et al. 2016. Tripp et al. 2015 actually did a study and looked at the brain effects of bullying and victim reactions. In their observations, they found anger at the top behavior from children who are a victim. They also found that there was a trickle effect of having depression symptoms that included not wanting to go to school and losing concentration and even preferred activities. So I really wanted to get a perspective on the classroom, and usually the classroom is like the teacher, the students, and sometimes parents interact as well. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to incorporate everyone rather than just individual, because I feel the environment is all together. So while these articles offered a wide selection of information on bullying, I feel there can be a lot more done to help prevent these disorders like depression and suicide. I think it's awesome that there is proactive programs, but not all of them are effective as they are not publicized. Social media can spread information easily, thus I feel bullying should be blown up in schools and be touched on once a week in all grades to allow students to know they have help. This is where I want to get creative and make people think about their perspectives on bullying. I believe that everything is connected to each other, that everything happens for a reason, just like how Simmer 2012 looked at how Community of Trees communicates and interacts with each other. That's where we live in a complex system in the biosphere, Simmer 2012. I believe that Simmer's point of view can be changed into a metaphor that everyone in our lives and world communicates with each other. She talks about how there's one dominant tree that connects with all the species. This could be looked at through a classroom's view on how the teacher and students or students with students have a trickle effect on how bullying can occur in the classroom. The teacher and students are all connected as they are all part of the classroom. Sometimes students' parents can be part of it as well. Regardless of who's in the classroom, there needs to be a connection between the individuals. The dominant tree is your role model, like the teacher in the classroom and another peer in the class. They could nurture you, and other relationships occur in the classroom. Your world may be lost without these close bonds, emotionally, physically, mentally. If the dominant tree disappears, it greatly affects the surrounding environment. Moreover, just like bullying, if one tree or student is being mean and ruining the environment, as the one tree or student is all connected to each other. I think that people do not notice that what is surrounding them, and they take it granted for what they have. So my 2012 mentions how trees are not given the respect they need. I can relate to this as I was bullied as a child due to my Portuguese heritage. I would do different cultural greetings, like when I was greeting someone and kiss them both on the cheeks. People who do not greet the respect that others need from the differences can be a sense of bullying, especially to my family member with a disability, as he was targeted even more due to his behavioral deficits. Simra's video also discussed how trees communicate with tree meters away through carbon monoxide. This could be seen on how people nowadays communicate through technology and can be miles away from each other. People are able to connect all over the world in a matter of seconds. Our social media group can continue to grow and feed off others and have a never-ending connection. What is put on social media will stay there forever. This type of communication will be passed down to one generation to the next. This is why we need to look out for others in the community or classroom, no matter where we are in the world. People are only human and deserve to be respected and told why they're important to be here. Life should be simple like trees, and if we get too consumed in work, school, or other activities, we may forget about the ones we love, and even worse, take it out through anger. Forget the ones we love, or even worse, take out our anger through bullying. We may regret not appreciating them when they are gone, as without our connection to the community or classroom, it can become smaller from being lost without them, as a tree or student or teacher is all connected. So next part, I'm going to talk about my interviews. So I interviewed teacher, parent, and student. So the teacher had about 25 kids in their classrooms, and she said that the amount of bullying varies every year. She always says like children with disabilities are a target due to like their differences and depending on how severe their behaviors are. And she also mentioned that sometimes she tries to intervene, but because like she has such a big classroom that it's not always possible, and sometimes bullying can be very submissive almost, like it's secretive because you can't always see it with your eye, and it could just be simple as a gesture, you know, and it's terrifying, right, for kids, students, and like that's why it's so important to have this healthy environment. So I also talked to a student who was bullied, and they shared a story about their house being egged and how there's points of not wanting to go to school and being very sad and depressed, and this interview was very emotional, and I don't blame them, but it was also a great way to like learn that perspective on the classroom, because these are realistic stories that do happen. My next interview was with the parent of that child, and they talked about how it's so devastating to watch a family member go through that and not be able to help them, and they felt almost lost and stuck because they didn't know what to do, and trying to intervene, especially at an older age, got really tricky, and sometimes the bullying would actually increase because of that. So after all of my information that I gathered, I wanted to incorporate like the relationships that they talked about, and also bring in my research of how there was no relationship building programs, and I actually combined some of the old programs and put them together, or similar ideas, and what I came up with was implementing a program in the school to talk and discuss about bullying and how it is crucial to have close relationships. From previous research on bullying, the programs I found was focused on being proactive to bullying and having to reach out to someone once it happened. And my research was not able to find a program that builds on relationships to have a close connection in the classroom in order to support from a group rather than specific individuals. I think working on people and the environment to make them closer together will benefit everyone. Just like Simon's video discuss how the environment on trees all connected, and each individual tree plays an important role and is crucial to the environment. This is the exact same when it comes to classrooms. Each student makes the environment. The program I think would be a great idea would be to first start with the children having a mini lesson on bullying, going through what happens and the side effects, I think children learn the best through experience and hearing others. Thus, I think it would be a great way for children to share their own experiences with others, whether it is them personally or someone they know. This will allow the student to bounce off ideas from one another and tell them how they feel. Part of growing up is being able to deal with emotions and how to cope with them. Bullying can be a very sensitive subject, just like how upset the student I interviewed talked about it. Of course, at the beginning, the children will be told they are more than welcome to share whatever they are comfortable with. After sharing everyone's ideas, I think it'd be a great experience on doing role plays or watching videos on bullying looks like so that students can identify it. I think this program would be used for young children and lessons and could be modified to different interests to keep the children engaged. After doing the role play, it'd be a good idea to discuss different strategies on how to cope with bullying and what should be done. For example, deep breathing to calm down, telling a loved one, and many more. Children will also have the chance to share their own strategies with the bully and add new ideas. This will also be where students will be encouraged to share how they dealt with the bullies and what they would do different now. Having open-ended questions for this part of the program is crucial. I believe it's important as bullying happens in all different ways and affects people differently. Having a program that's black and white and guidelines is not realistic, as there's so many variations for answers for bullying. So the next part of the program is where it's different from other programs. I want students in the classroom to be able to share this information through their personal relationships. If there's no personal relationship, how could they share something close and personal if they don't have that personal connection? Putting myself in this position, I'd have to be able to trust them if something that upsets me, like bullying. Again, this part of the program would involve the teacher, student, and parent if they are in the classroom at this time. This part of the program will allow the students to work together as a class to figure out a problem or a game. This would be many variations to this as keep children always engaged and interest new ideas and to be implemented. One example of a problem would be to set up a mystery and hide clues around the classroom. Everyone would be paired with students who they don't always talk to create new and close relationships. Then the students have to work together to find the clue. To make it even more rewarding for the students, there would be a reward for after, like going outside to even like chocolate, whatever the children are interested in. And lastly, to tie the idea of being able for all children to have this resource is to be advertised. I feel a lot of programs go under advertised, and it's really too bad because some of them are amazing. The best way to do this would be through social media and having presentations towards the districts in order to make the change. If this program is successful in a couple of classrooms, it could be successful in many. This could make a trickle effect on passing on a positive word about this bullying program, implementing it in the classrooms. So, after doing this and creating this program, I felt a really emotional connection, especially having the interviews and talking about something that's very personal, but it's real because it's happened to me when I was a child. It's happened to everyone, even as being teased. It's a natural thing, and people have to learn from their consequences. But I'm really glad that I had this opportunity because it opened my eyes and realized how I need to treat others, how I need to be, like, I want to be treated, because that's the realistic. It's simple, but sometimes I think we make things so complex and these different programs so complex that we actually forget the simple things. And that concludes my video. Thank you.